Hey everyone, welcome back to the table. Today we're going to play a solo of Undaunted Normandy, just so you can kind of see what this is like. I like this game a lot. This is actually a much better game, I think, as two-player. So I'm playing solo because my son doesn't like to film. That's fine. So he helps me learn how to play. So I'll give this a shot solo and see what I can remember. Now, before we start, when I did my review, someone pointed out, and I don't know how I missed this. I'm glad they pointed it out to me because I was playing with a house rule that I grabbed from some other game and threw it in here. Not on purpose, just I don't know how my brain got it. But when doing initiative, each player will draw, or they'll have their hand of 4 cards, and they'll select a card that they want to use as the initiative card. And what I was playing was whoever won initiative discarded their card, and the player who lost initiative got to keep all their cards. That is a mechanic from some other game. That's not this game. I'm not sure how that slipped in, but the way my brain works, I snagged rules from another game because I play so many and threw it in here. In this game, each player will discard the initiative card. So whoever wins initiative, everybody will have 3 cards to start play with. So I just want to put that out there. And I'm going to try and remember to do that here today. So if you like a house rule, the house rule could be that the player who wins initiative loses their card, and then the person who wins, or whoever wins initiative loses that card, so they only get 3 cards, and then the person who loses initiative gets to keep all 4 cards. So there's that give and take on, if you want to win or lose initiative. So with that in mind, everybody is going to discard their initiative card. All right, let me get a sip of Diet Dr. Pepper real quick. Okay, so hopefully I don't burp too much. So there we go. We're going to do scenario 1, just because that's a nice introductory scenario, and that has plenty of rules. I can mess up for that already. So hopefully we'll do okay this time. Now that I've got that out of the way. Let's see. The initiative starts with the American player, and the dice. Hold on, I'll be right back. I had forgotten to pull the combat dice out just in case I need those. Okay, so initiative starts with the American player. So at least for this first turn, I don't think we have to bid, so everybody keeps all their cards because it just says Americans have this initiative. So they're going to draw. I've already shuffled. So here comes from the draw deck 4 cards, and I'm going to put these in such a way that hopefully you can see them on camera. So we have a scout, the platoon sergeant, rifleman, and a fog of war. Now normally you would hold these up in your hand and kind of keep it secret and then play them down, but since it's just us, I'm going to fog of war won't do anything. Riflemen capture. Now in this scenario, we don't own this spot, but it's not worth any victory points. Only riflemen can capture. So we want to deny, but see, I have to scout that before I can claim it. And I've got fog of war, and I hate fog of war. So what I'm going to do is use the scout. So I'll put the scout out. So I'm going to move him forward, showing that he's done something. He's going to burn the fog of war, so that will get rid of that out of here. And then I draw 1 to replace it, and it's a squad leader. Okay, the rifleman, Bravo rifleman will move here. That will be his action. Oops. And I could bolster or inspire. What we'll do is we're gonna bolster 2 units out of Bravo. So I'm gonna grab a rifleman and a scout. And I'm gonna put that in a discard pile that I'm putting up here off camera. And then the platoon sergeant, he's gonna do a command. He's gonna draw 2 more cards. A rifleman this time. And what we're going to do is play the rifleman. And then we're going to use the squad leader to inspire the rifleman. Oh wait, he can't move into this spot because it hasn't been scouted yet. I wanted to get there and try to capture it. So that's not what I want to do. Now the rifleman could attack. So that's what we'll do. Yeah, we're going to attack with the rifleman. So my rifleman A is going to shoot at the German rifleman A. So he has a defensive 1 plus his defensive 1 there, and we're 2 away. So that's 7. And I only get 1 shot. Hopefully that shows up on camera. I rolled a 1. So then I will, so I bolster. I'll bolster and get these 2 cards. Oh, I get to get two from A. So I get a rifleman and a scout from A squad. They're going to bolster. Command you draw from your deck. Not, I was drawing from the deck, but bolster is you pull from your alpha squad. So I'll put those in the discard. And then all of these go in the discard. And that's the Americans player turn. And these tiles, I'm going to have to blue tacky these down so they don't shift all the time. So that all goes in the discard. Okay, German player is already shuffled, so he gets 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we have rifleman, squad leader, scout. Excuse me. I couldn't reach the pause in time. Okay, so the scout is, we need this spot to win because the objective is to have 5 points, and when you have your 5 points, you wins. So we're going to take the scout. I'm going to play my scout, and my scout, alpha scout, is going to go 1, 2. They're the only ones that can move into places that haven't been looked at yet. So scouts are important. And when I do, I put a token there, meaning it's been scouted by me. I put a scouted by me token there. Now, in fact, probably what you could do, which actually would be better, is I'll move the scout through here and then come here. The reason why is every time you put one of these down, yeah, you can claim that eventually with riflemen, but you add a fog of war to your discard deck. So we want to eliminate that as much as possible. So what we'll do is have the scout go here and then here, and he adds 1 fog of war to his deck. So I'm going to make a discard pile somewhere here. I'm running out of room on my little table. So we got a discard pile going on. Then we have here a rifleman, squad leader. Okay, the alpha, who do we have here? Okay, so the rifleman. So we're going to move a Bravo rifleman here because his move is 1. So he can move 1 space. So he moves here. So he's done. Then I have the Bravo squad leader. We'll inspire him to move 1 more. So he moves here. That's important because I can then capture this at some point and win the game. So we've just charged right in. And the squad leader for A is going to bolster. So he will, yeah, so when you inspire, it essentially is like you take a card back up your hand, play it again. I just left it on the table. But he's going to bolster. So he's going to grab an alpha scout and an alpha rifleman. Yeah, because inspire says return X cards from play area to hand, matching squad. So I should have put that back in my hand and then I could have played it again. I just left him on the board because I knew I was going to play him again. So I grabbed a rifleman and a scout, and I'm going to put them in the discard pile. They're done. They didn't seem to get as much done as... Oh, you know what? When I bolstered... Yeah, I put those in the discard. When you do... Did I already mess up? Hold on. I let them put something in. Oh, the platoon sergeant, I did a command. Okay. The platoon sergeant command lets you draw 2 cards into your hand. That's where I got all those extra actions, because the platoon sergeant. Alright. Then the German player has done his turn. Not quite as impressive, but he is in a position to win. In a position to win. So now what we got to do is draw our 4 cards. Then we're going to check for initiative. Now the American player, he's got 2 left in his draw deck. And he has a bunch now in his discard. So I'm going to quickly move those 2 for his hand. And I'm going to move these out here. Do a shuffle. I tried to move this down a little bit so you would see a little bit what I'm doing. So this top tile is going to be off camera just ever so slightly. But hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. And I'm just doing like this. I don't have these sleeved because they wouldn't fit in the pretty box. So I just kind of do, I don't know what kind of style of shuffle you call that, but that way I'm not bending my cards completely. So there's my deck there. Here's the hand. And the German player gets 4 cards. And he'll be shuffling next turn. Now, here's the thing. I could say that I'm taking the place of, like, you know, I'm the American player and the German player is the AI or the bot. But to be fair, what I'm going to do is randomly determine which card they're going to use here. You know, and I just thought of that. I said randomly, and I was just going to pick. But, you know, there's 4 cards, so why don't I grab a die 4 out of my little box of dice here. And what I'm going to do is actually roll the dice, and that will tell me, starting from 1 over here, 1, which card they're going to use as their initiative. That seems fair. So the American player says they're going to use their squad leader for the initiative. And the German player missed the dice tile. I'm going to roll again. And he's using his number 1. Ooh. Interesting. So the German player says, well, I'm going to play the platoon sergeant, thus winning initiative. So I'll flip that to the German player side. And they both discard. And that right there is key. They both discard their initiative card. But the German player goes first. So I'm going to set these aside to give me some space here. Okay, German player has a fog of war and a scout. Probably the easiest thing to do is just, since we already have a scout here, and I don't have a Bravo rifleman to capture that spot, we'll go ahead and just use the scout ability to recon this fog of war. So I'm going to remove this from the game. Gone. I'll put a remove from game up here. And he draws the fog of war in its place. Yay. But then I have Rifleman A. Rifleman A is actually going to move here because he's going to move up to eventually help reinforce that. And then fog of war does nothing. So that was a quick German player turn. Turn 1 you get the most action because the initiative is already determined, so everybody keeps their card. Gives you a lot to do. Now the American player has a scout and a fog of war. Well, here's the thing. We're going to lose that spot if I don't do something. So I got a Bravo scout. I'm going to activate my Bravo scout and move him here. So Germans cannot just automatically win the game here in a turn or 2. So I'm going to play one of my scout tokens. I can now safely move infantry down in there to help back them up. Now the squad leader has to bolster somebody. He can't inspire because it says to inspire Alpha, but I can bolster from Alpha. So I'm going to take my last scout, my last rifleman, and I'm going to put them into my discard, and then they're done. Fog of War is kept because I used my scout to scout that area. And that's the end of that turn. All right, so we're going to draw 4 cards. And I just shuffled this here for the American player. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And now the German player is out of cards. So we're going to shuffle them real fast. 1, just like this. Go 4 wide. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put their draw pile there. Alright, we're going to determine initiative. What will it be? Okay, the Americans. Well, we'll start with the initiative player first. So the German player rolls a 2, and he's going to play a Fog of War. Oh, very interesting move. They must have some important cards here they want to keep. The American player counters with the number 4. Ah, he must really want that fog of, he must really want that initiative because he plays a scout. So the German player used a Fog of War. That was a very interesting, bold move. And the Americans played a scout. So that will go in his discard. Very interesting. That means the American player wins the initiative. The German player will have to hold on for a moment. All right, so we have the platoon sergeant and rifleman. Ah, that was actually a good decision by the American player because he wants to move his rifleman. Ah, so he's going to play that, and because this, I keep bumping those, but essentially this is in line here, he's going to move the rifleman in. So now we have a scout and a rifleman all fighting. He then holds on a second. He says, hey, platoon sergeant, let me draw 2 cards to see if I get something that will really make a difference here. And yes and no. So the rifleman, he says rifleman B is going to attack rifleman B. It's a defense. I would say if they're in the same hex, let me look that up. That I don't know. I think they still get to add the 1 for the defense. It's just because they're in the same spot, there's no penalty for distance. Let me just see that real quick. Yeah, cover. Yeah, that makes no distinction on if you're all in the same hex. So you're in the same hex, you're in the same square, now you're fighting over buildings and moving about between buildings. So we're going to say, let's see, these are the riflemen I was playing. This is what I kept in my hand. So we're going to go 4 defense plus 1 is 5. So the rifleman has to roll a 5 or higher. He rolled a 6. So the rifleman B, I have to see if the German has a rifleman B in his hand. And he does. So he takes the rifleman B and removes that from the game. So that is an ouchie for the German player. Then I have the scout and the rifleman A. I'm going to say I should have left rifleman B. But you know what? I got to capture stuff. Only because if I can capture some points, I still have to have this spot. This is scouted, so what we're going to do is move the scout 1, 2. That's going to add a scout token here. I add a Fog of War to the discard. And I'm going to move the rifleman. I'm going to move the rifleman here. Because I got to try and capture some points while fighting for this central area. Because this is all the German player needs to win. If the German player can capture this and eliminate the bad guys, then they've won. And you can only control and flip one of these to the control side if there's no enemies. So this is going to be the big fight. So American player done. German player, because they took a casualty, they're down 1 action. So they have Rifleman A here and Scout B. Scout B is over here. Not really a whole lot that they can do. So the Scout, except fight it out, we want to control that central area. So I'm going to move the Scout. So we're just gonna pile it in here. Now the other thing is, if I had played it different, I probably could have had a Rifleman come and flank there too, or one of my Scouts come. But the Scout needs to come down here for the Americans. And then the Rifleman A, he's going to move in. I haven't seen anything that says how many things can be in a square. So we're just going to pile it in. Now if it is in the book, if there is a limit, then yeah, I need to fix that, because obviously then I put too many people in a square. Tile. The villages, the board tiles, number on a letter, tile A and B side of the number, cover bonus. Nothing about, let me see, remove. Tile move, scouted, controlled by your side. The tile you move into must be scouted or controlled by your side. Alright, we're fighting for this center spot. And that's it for the German player. So that goes to his discard. Okay, that turn is over. So the American player has 2 cards left from the draw pile. So we're going to shuffle up here and then give him 2 more. Come here, cards. Okay, that's the American player's hand off here, which I know you can't see really well. And the German player has 4 cards. He still has some in his draw pile. Alright, and the American player had initiative, so we'll roll to see what their bid card will be. 4. So the Americans bid a Scout, and the German player bids a Squad Leader. Oh, bold choice. That's a 7 for the Squad Leader. So Germans win the initiative, and they each discard. So there's the discard pile for you, discard pile. Discard pile for you. I don't want to stick it in your draw pile there. Okay. So the German player, what do we have, German player? You have a Scout, Squad Leader, and a Fog of War. Oof. Well, we're pretty safe here with all that stuff. So what I'm going to do is use my Scout to get rid of this Fog of War, because that goes out of the game. Only because that can really hinder later on. When you've only got a couple cards to play with and it fills up with a Fog of War, that makes it very tough to do anything. So then we're going to go Squad Leader to Inspire. It's Alpha, so he can bolster. We're going to draw some more units. We're going to draw the Rifleman and the Scout. So I have no more Scout. I've got a couple more Riflemen in supply. Those go to the discard. These go to the discard. German player, done. American player has a Fog of War and 2 Riflemen. Okay, so see, this is what happens. The Fog of War really clutters up what you can do. So we got 2 Riflemen. They're going to fight it out. Oh, no, they're not. Rifleman A is going to control. So we take this. We now have 1 victory point. Then Rifleman A again shoots down here. Bing. And that's it. But we're going to get some capture points. That way, when this final battle is done, we can hopefully see who the ultimate winner is. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 cards to the hand from the draw pile. The German player had 3. So I'm going to take his discard pile. We're just going to shuffle up here real fast. which you probably can't see on camera. And somehow I ended up with some American cards over there in the German pile. I wasn't paying attention. Alright, put the wrong discard in the wrong people. So there's the 4th card for the German player. Okay, now we got to see who's doing what for initiative. German had initiative, so we'll see. The German player is going to play card number 4, which is a scout, and the Americans play the number 2, which is a squad leader. So the American player gets the initiative back, sacrificing a squad leader, so he puts that into his discard, and the scout goes to the German discard pile, which will start there. Alright, so the Americans have a squad leader, a fog of war, and a rifleman. See those fog of war? So Rifleman B is in the thick of it, so they're going to attack. They're going to continue shooting at Rifleman A. So they need a 5 to hit. So on a die 10, they roll a 1. So no go there. The squad leader A, he's going to bolster. He's going to draw his last couple riflemen from the supply into the discard, and then of course Fog of War does nothing. So that all goes back. American player done. German player has the platoon sergeant. So platoon sergeant is going to draw 2 cards from the command. So now he's got a Fog of War. Okay, so he's going to play a scout to burn that Fog of War. That will help in the future. And then Rifleman A. Rifleman A did not like being shot at, so he's going to shoot back at Rifleman B. Again, needs a 5 to hit. Rolls a 7. So I don't have anything in the hand of the rifleman. So what you do, trying to remember, there's a sequence. You go from hand, discard pile, and then if it goes from the of hand, discard, deck. I don't have any in my hand, so we're going to check the discard pile for a Rifleman B. I have a Rifleman B. He gets removed from the game. It's a casualty. Oh, my son and I, when we play, we read the name. I haven't been doing that, but we lost Chris Marling. Sorry, Chris. Then Rifleman A shoots again at Rifleman B. A 2, a miss. So we put the fire on, but wasn't totally effective. All right, that's both sides. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. American player rolls a 3. So they're bidding another scout. German player is bidding their rifleman. Okay, so the American player retains initiative. Those both go to their respective discard pile. And the American player has a rifleman, 2 riflemen, and a scout. Okay, so the Rifleman A captures this location. So we now have 2 victory points. The Scout A is in a great position to come down here to scout. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just move him right there. And then eventually, you know what, we'll move him back because they moved 2. But I only want to scout that spot. So I grab another binocular and I grab another Fog of War from my supply pile to put into the discard pile. And then Rifleman B attacks Rifleman A. They're just shooting back and forth. And he does 5. And it's a 2, but not very effective. Alright. The pressure is slowly getting onto the German player. The German player was, their turn, was in a position just to take this and win it, which they still can, But the American player, once he gets that last tile captured and he comes back, all the fighting is happening here. One thing that could happen is, though, the Americans could flank and take a spot. That might be something to do. Okay, so squad leader can bolster. We have 2 scouts. Oh, okay, so here's where we could cause some trouble. What we're going to do, because see, the German player could flank too and capture some of these bonus points because the fighting here is pretty fierce. So what we'll do, first of all, with squad leader A, we're going to bolster and grab 2 more riflemen. That's the last of the riflemen. So beyond that, he can start doing inspire. Then I have 2 scouts. Yeah, you know what? We need to counter the Americans here and capture some terrain. So I'm going to move Scout A. Scout A is actually going to go up here. 1, 2. And that, they're going to flank. So he's going to go here and here. Ooh. Now Scout B, he's going to use his recon and force the Americans to take another fog of war and stick it into their discard pile. Ooh. And that's that. Alright, so the American player, 1, 2, 3. I got 3 cards in hand. So I'm going to quickly mix this up. Now remember, we've added a fog of war. That is not good. Let's see if that will hurt us yet. Okay, draw a pile. The Germans had 1, so they're going to do their shuffle real fast. They're okay. Come here. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, Americans had the initiative on that one, so we're going to roll to see which card they're putting up for initiative. So the Americans are going to put card number 3 up. They're sacrificing a scout, and the German player is sacrificing a squad leader. So the Germans take the initiative, and then they each discard their respective bid card. All right, so the Germans, they said, you know what, we can flank and play that game too. And now they have their squad leader. The squad leader has no more supply cards to bolster from. All he's got is inspire. So we have a scout. So we have a scout down here. You know, I don't think I added those 2 scout cards for the German player into the discard. So I think I did cheat that. I'm going to add in 2 right now for next time around. Because I don't think I put those in. I forgot about that. I don't have someone here to catch me on those things. But what am I going to do with the scout? Well, the scout, we could come here. Well, this alpha scout can go up here too. So we're going to actually... We're going to come back. 1, 2... So we put a token there. Not that it's because I want that one, but I had a fog of war, but we went through it, so we don't know what's there. So that scout's done. Then Rifleman A. Okay, so Rifleman A for the Germans. He's in the fight. So actually, we're going to move him out to here and start working our way over here. And then the squad leader will inspire, so I technically put him back up in my hand, play him again, and he's actually going to move here. Boom. Boom! So if I can't take this spot, we'll take this spot and win. Oh man, so what's the Americans gonna do? Well, the Americans say, Platoon Sergeant, I'm going to draw 2 cards from my deck. Fog of War, hurting. I got a squad leader, 2 scouts. What can the scouts do for me? Well, my scout is here. He can come down. He will come down because he wants to prevent him from capturing that and winning. So we played Scout A. Then Scout A again will attack. So we need to hit on a 5. So scouts can fight. And he doesn't. He fought, but he didn't do well. Then I have Squad Leader B. And Squad Leader B can still bolster. So he's going to grab a scout and a rifleman, put those in the discard, and then the Fog of War. Okay, so the American player is done. These all go to the discard. And that's it. So we're going to lay out 4 cards now. 1, 2, 3, 4. German draw deck. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so Germans have the initiative, so we're going to roll to see which card they put forward as their initiative card. The number 2 card. So we're going to go right here. Number 2. They're doing a rifleman. And the American player, number 4. It's a tie. So the German player retains initiative. So they will discard their respective rifle people. And the Germans, what are they going to do? They have their platoon sergeant. So platoon sergeant does the same thing. He says, let's grab 2 more cards here. Maybe they'll be helpful. So he grabs a scout, a rifleman. So we have 2 scouts, a 3rd scout from Bravo, and a rifleman. Okay, so okay, Scout A. Scout A, Scout A. He's going to go, this is risky. I'm going to play Scout A. He's going to move up here twice. Because we're flanking. And I put down 2. Remember, this is risky because I got to add Fog of War cards. So now I got to use scouts to try and get rid of some Fog of War cards. I go right into my discard. And what this scout will do, because he's kind of out there by himself, he's actually going to force the American player to put a Fog of War in his discard. Then I have Scout B. Scout B is here in the middle fighting, so he's going to attack that rifleman Bravo. He needs a 5. He rolls a 3. Okay, then I actually have Rifleman A. Rifleman A is down here. He's going to attack the scouts, so he's going to hit on a 6, because 5 for defense, 1 for the tile. He rolls a 7. Okay, so the Americans, they have to check if there's a Scout A. There is. He has a Scout A in his hand. Joseph Bell, so he comes out of the deck. German player is done. That all goes to the discard. The American player says, oof, that only leaves me a couple actions. They're both here, rifleman and scout. They're going to fight. They're going to fight it out. So the rifleman is going to shoot at the rifleman, I guess. So that's a 5. Nope. And then Scout A will shoot Rifleman B, which is a 4. And again, not enough. So the Americans put up some firepower, but it's not enough to hurt. Okay, that's it there. So we draw 4. Oh, how is this going to play out? We got 2 for the German player. I grabbed the discard. We'll do a quick one of these numbers. Okay, just a quick off-board shuffle there. Grabbed them up. Grabbed 2. So now they each have 4. The German player had initiative, so we're going to roll to see which card he puts up for initiative. It's a 3. So he's bidding a rifleman. The American player does a 1. They also bid rifleman. So a German player retains initiative. but they both discard a rifleman, which could be an important thing here. Alright, so the Germans have a fog of war, pesky fog of war, and a scout. Scout A is going to go ahead and actually remove a fog of war from the game. So that will make the deck leaner and meaner. And then Rifleman A down here is going to attack the scouts. They need a 6 to hit, 6 or better. Rolls a 3, so not much happening for the Germans. The American player has, there it is, here's where the fog of war starts to really hurt. So all they have is Rifleman A. Rifleman A has been left, oh, he's already captured that. So he's gonna, he could attack, and he would need to hit on a 6. He's going to attack Rifleman A, and he's going to hit on a 6 because it's a defense of 4 plus 1 for the tile and a distance of 1. So can he do it? He rolls a 6. Now I have no cards, so we go to the discard pile and we get rid of a Rifleman A. Robert Kramer. Sorry, Robert. So that's one guy down. The Americans are done. They had a little more effective that turn. And that's it for the turn. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. The American player had 4 cards in the draw pile left. The Germans just did a shuffle, so they've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Germans had initiative, so they're going to bid card 1, a scout. And the American player bids card 2, the squad leader. So the Americans take the initiative, so they flip it, and they both discard. Alright, so what does the American player plan to do? He's got a fog of war and 2 riflemen. So fog of war obviously can't do anything. Rifleman A. He's going to go ahead and continue to he's going to move. Shooting at range is risky. And then he shoots, because now we're at close range. So he's going to shoot at Rifleman A. Now he only needs to hit on a 5. And he rolled a 6. Probably could have stayed back and shot twice. But he hits the Rifleman. So we're going to check to see if the Germans have a Rifleman in the hand. So it goes hand, no Rifleman. Then it goes to discard. There's a Rifleman A in the discard. That is Conrad Sauer. So he's out. Alright, so again, the Americans are bringing the pressure. So that goes to their discard. German player has a fog of war and the scout. So he's going to use his scout to burn the fog of war, get it out of there completely. And then the squad leader, oh, we still have a bunch of stuff. We're going to bolster a scout and a rifleman. So we're going to reinforce the Germans here. So that went quick. And then those discard. So we draw 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 cards for the German player. And the Americans need a shuffle. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They got a pretty big deck. They have almost everything. They got some fog of war though, that's in there. There's their 4. There's their... Okay. The Americans had initiative, so they're going to bid card number 4, which is a scout. And then the Germans bid card number 4, which is also... Oh, it's their platoon sergeant. So the German player seizes the initiative, but he's got to get rid of the platoon sergeant to do that. And they discard a scout. Well, let's see how that plays out for the German player. They're feeling very bold today. So they did get stuck with a fog of war and a squad leader. Now this isn't too bad because I have nothing left to bolster for Alpha Squad, but I can inspire the Rifleman. So the Rifleman is going to attack that Rifleman. So it needs a 5 to hit. So he returns fire on the Americans, rolls a 7. So we check the hand, and there is a Rifleman A. Robert Denton is down. Then the squad leader inspires the rifleman to come back to his hand, and we play the rifleman again, and he attacks Rifleman A once again. And he needs that magical 5 or better to hit. He rolls a 2. Oh man, he had a chance to be a hero. And then Fog of War does nothing. So those go to the discard. Then the Americans only have 2. They have the Rifleman and the Squad Leader. So the Rifleman is going to, in kind, return fire. So he needs a 5. It's a 4. Squad Leader inspires the Rifleman. Comes back to the hand, comes back down, fires again. He's hoping to get lucky. Rolls a 2. So not good firing this time by the Americans. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The Germans had initiative, so they're going to bid card 1. Let me see if they had a turn limit. I don't think they had a turn limit for this, but someone might say, hey, aren't you going too long? Nope. Just go. Fight it out. All right, cool. Then the Americans, oops, I missed the tower, but they rolled a 3. So they're going to bid Riflemen. So again, they're going to discard their Riflemen. And Germans retain initiative. So the Germans have a Fog of War and a Scout. So they're going to play the Scout to get rid of the Fog of War. Fog of War gone forever. And they're going to play their Rifleman A. So they need a 5 to hit their Rifleman. He rolls a 6. So the Americans had a Rifleman A. Paul Miller out. And that's it for the German player. Turns are getting fast and furious now. Fog of War and the Scout. So we're going to play the Scout and get rid of the Fog of War forever. So that was a consolidation period for everybody. And that goes to the discard. All right. 3, 4. 1. Okay, Germans need to shuffle up. Yeah, you can kind of barely see what we're doing here. And they draw 3 more. There's their draw deck. And because they had initiative, they'll roll first to see which one they're going to bid for initiative. The 2. Oh, gutsy. They're going to bid a Fog of War. And the American player bids a 1. And it's a Scout. So they both discard appropriately. And the American player wins initiative. So their Scout led the way. They still have a Fog of War. Oh, but they bid the Scout. But they were tired of tying with Riflemen. So we have Rifleman A. Rifleman A shoots at the German player, so he hits on a 5. He got the 5 this time. So that's Rifleman A. Rifleman A. We had one more. Walter Winter. I don't think we have too many Riflemen left. Just saying. Then we have Rifleman B. Rifleman B will take up action and fire at Rifleman B here in the middle. So that's going to be also a defensive 5. He rolls a 7. So Rifleman B takes a hit. Nothing there in the draw. We check the discard. Nothing there in the discard. So then we got to check the draw deck. And we look for a Rifleman B. There's a Rifleman B. Ronald Schneider is out. Then we have to shuffle these up because we saw the draw order for just a moment. New draw deck. And Fog of War does nothing. So the Americans are done. Effective? I don't know. I think anytime you apply casualties, that's hurting your opponent. That leaves us 2 cards for the German. And one was a Fog of War and the Scout. The Scout is going to burn the Fog of War, and they're done. All in the goal of hoping to lean out the fighting deck. All right, so new turn. Americans draw 4. There's still a couple fighting spots to capture points. Okay, Americans roll. They're going to do card 4 for initiative, which is Fog of War. Let's see if they're bold and how bold that works. The Germans also, the Germans do the platoon sergeant. They wanted that initiative, so they got it back. So they're going to put that there. This goes to the discard. Make sure I put it on the discard. All right, so the German player says, I've got a little bit of Rifleman left, so I'm going to fire Rifleman A at Rifleman A. And that hits on a 5. What'd I roll? A 2. Did no good. Now I got 2 scouts. Scout A is up there all by his lonesome. So we're going to move him down here. 1, 2. We're going to move him back into the middle because now they can just start fighting. Scout B, in an effort to thwart American maneuver, is going to conceal and add a Fog of War to the American discard deck. Force the Americans to recon out. But they don't need to. They have the Scout, Squad Leader, and Rifleman. So their B is heavy. We're going to fight it out in the middle there. So the Scout B for the Americans, is going to attack Rifleman B here. And they're going to hit on a 5. They don't. The Rifleman will attack. So Rifleman B attacks their Rifleman B. He also needs a 5. Oops. I kind of missed the tower, but we got a 6. So that's a hit. So we got to look for the discard. Did Rifleman B have anything in discard? Nope. Nothing in hand. So now I got to check the draw deck. Is there a Rifleman B? There is no Rifleman B. Now we got to mix that up. Uh-oh. That's bad luck for the Germans. I have not been bolstering with the squad leader. So that means that I must have a couple, I've already discarded a couple Rifleman Bs because I had none in hand, I had none in the discard, none in the draw deck. That means Rifleman B comes off. Now, if I get my squad leader and bolster and draw some stuff back, I can then redeploy them later, but it's going to be over here in this tile. So then they'll have to come back to the fight. So that was actually very advantageous for the Americans. Then their squad leader will bolster the Rifleman, and the Rifleman will now attack Scout A. And he needs to hit on a 6. That's why we did the Rifleman first, and that's a miss. I guess I should have done, play that, draw this up, play it down. Alright, so the Americans, that's it. So both sides have gone. So we're going to take 4 cards. 4 cards. Okay, German player bids 2. Scout. The American player bids 4. The platoon sergeant. Alright, so the Americans seize the initiative. They both discard. Let's see what the American player does first. He's got 2 Fogs of War. So that recon or the concealment by the enemy is paid off. So they're actually going to use their scout to burn off 1 Fog of War card. And then they're done. That's all they could do. Then the German player likes what he saw. But now he's got squad leaders. Okay, so if I was doing face-to-face, this is a card I'd be using for bids. Because, well, actually, I'd say, well, actually, no, this still works out pretty good because I've got units to draw. So here we go. Squad leader B is going to bolster. He's going to grab the last scout and 1 rifleman and put those in the discard. Then Rifleman A down here is going to attack Rifleman A of the Americans. So he hits on a 5, rolls a 2. So the squad leader inspires. So I grab the Rifleman, play the Rifleman again, and I roll a 10. 10 is a hit. Now I have no cards in hand, so I'm going to check the discard pile for a Rifleman A. Discard for Rifleman A. Discard for Rifleman A. Here's a discard for Rifleman A. Harold Henderson is now out of the game. And that's it for the Germans. Okay, the Americans, their draw deck had been depleted. So they're going to go bam, 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 bam. Oh, I got to do the whole shuffle. Shuffling. And they lay out 4 cards for the hand. German player has 1. So they're going to shuffle up. And they draw 3. And that's their draw deck. Alright, and then the Americans are going to bid card 1 for initiative, which is a squad leader. And the German player is going to bid a 2. That's the second card in line. And that's a Rifleman. So the squad leader lets the Americans retain initiative. Rifleman goes to the discard, so they'll go here in a second. Okay, the American player has 2 scouts and a fog of war. So they're going to play Scout A and burn that fog of war because they're going to do a recon. And then Scout B, they're going to do a conceal and add a fog of war to the Germans. The German player's done a good job of getting rid of his fog of war cards, but they've done too good of a job. Then the German player has 2 scouts and a fog of war. So they're going to play a scout and again get rid of a fog of war, so they have virtually none. And then they have this scout who's going to add 1 more fog of war to the Americans. The Americans seem to have been hurt by the fog of war more than the Germans have. So that's worked out to their advantage. But that's it. Those 2 turns, again, are just manipulating the battlefield. So we're going to draw out 4 cards for the Americans. 4 cards for the German player. And the American player is going to bid card 1, the platoon sergeant. German player bids card number 3, a scout. So Americans retain initiative. Okay, so the Americans have a fog of war. Yeah, it's like they're just constantly stuck with them. So you're going to play a scout, get rid of the fog of war, and the squad leader is going to inspire the Scout A, and then Scout A is going to attack Rifleman A down here. So he's going to hit on a 5. He rolls a 6. So we got to check the Germans for Rifleman A. They do not have a Rifleman A in their hand, so they check the discard pile. And there is no Rifleman A in the discard. Now they have to check the draw deck. Is there a Rifleman A? There is. They have Riflemen for days. So Fritz Wolf is now out of the game. Yeah, there's still Riflemen in there. Wow, I thought we had gotten rid of them, but a lot of Riflemen. But there you go. They have fewer Riflemen now, though. Their draw deck is shrinking. Okay, so the Germans have 2 squad leaders and a scout. So what they're going to do with their scout, Scout B is draw, do a conceal, put 1 more fog of war in the Americans' discard. Then they're going to bolster. They're going to get the last Rifleman from reserve and stick it into their discard pile. And then they play Squad Leader A, which can bolster and inspire. Okay, see, at this point, that guy's got nothing to do. He had no guys to play, and he's got nothing to bolster. That would have been a better card to bid with had we been, looking at the cards, but I just roll. So there's that. Okay, German player gets 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. The American player gets 1, 2, 3, 4 cards for new turn. Let's see here. Yep. Okay. We're going to see the Americans have initiative, so they're going to use card number, card number 3, which is a rifleman. And the Germans are going to use card number 3 as well, which is their platoon sergeant. So they gain initiative, and they both discard. Alright, so what's the German plan? Germans have a scout, rifleman. Yeah, like I said, they got riflemen for days, it feels like. So they're going to attack with Rifleman A and attack the American Rifleman A. So he needs to hit on a 5. He rolls a 9. So we check the hand first. Is there a Rifleman A? There is a Rifleman A for the Americans, which is Richard Johnson. He's now out of the fight. So Rifleman A did good. Then we have the scouts. Scouts. Both scouts are here in the middle. So we're going to go Scout A. And he's going to conceal and put the last fog of war for the Americans into their discard. And then Scout B is now going to attack. And he's going to attack Rifleman B. And he needs to hit on a 5. He rolls a 1. So that was not a good attack. Okay, the Americans only have 2 cards in hand. They're both scouts. They're going to play a scout and do the same thing. They're going to stick a fog of war. This is the last fog of war for the Germans. So the Germans are, they've been most efficient at burning their fog of war. So they have no cards left in their supply. So they've got to make this work. Then Scout B can go again. Scout B is in the middle, so they're going to fight it out. They're going to attack Scout A here. Scout A, they need a 6 or better. He rolls a 7. Now, I don't have a hand. I don't have a discard. This is all the discards, technically, I guess. So he attacks Scout A. So we're going to find a Scout A. Scout A. Edgar Schultz. And there's fewer scouts than riflemen. So we got to shuffle that up. So at this point, really, the scouts are going to be just for burning those Fog of War cards and fighting, because we've explored the board, I think, as much as we need. Okay, so that was the Americans. Yeah, that's it. They're done. So now, draw our 4 cards. There's 4 for the Americans. 4 for the Germans. Germans had initiative, so they're going to bid what card? Whoop, number 2. And the Americans bid their number 2 card, which is a rifleman. So they get rid of the rifleman. Germans retain initiative. What do they do with it? The Germans have a bunch of 2 scouts or riflemen. It's pretty much all fighting from here on out, boys and girls. Let's see, the Rifleman B. Rifleman B was the one that was eliminated. They come back on the board. They come back over here. So they're done, but they're now back on the board. Scout B is here. So they will attack Rifleman B. They are hitting on 5s. They miss. Scout B will fire again. Hits on a 10. Rifleman B. Is there a Rifleman B in the Americans' hand? Nope, but there's a bunch of Fog of War they can't get rid of. So they look Rifleman B in the discard. There is one. So they get rid of Matt. I think that's Dunstan. So we're trying to whittle them down. So the American player, yeah, see the Fog of War. The American player has not done a good job of drawing scouts and Fog of War at the same time. So the Fog of War is really hurting the American player, because the American player can only play the Rifleman. Rifleman A will shoot at German Rifleman A. And they're hoping to get a rifle off of the board. They've got to do that if they want to win. So they attack an 8. They hit Rifleman A. So first I'm going to check the discard because I don't have a hand. So Rifleman, no Rifleman in the discard. Is there a Rifleman in the draw deck? We're looking for Rifleman A. There is. That should be the last one. If that rifle team gets hit again and there's nothing anywhere, they're out of the game. Because I think that is the last. Let me just look. I'm just curious. Rifleman. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. If we hit that rifle team again, they're out of the game and can't come back. So we're now hitting the last stretch of the game. Okay, so that was the Rifleman to Fog of War. So the Americans are done. That's their discard pile. Okay, the Germans had just recently shuffled, so they draw their 4 cards for their hand. The American needs to shuffle. This is some pitched battles. Yeah, if this was playing my son, I swear, there was like one time we played, he just rolled like 10s, 8s, and 9s the whole time. So every time he wanted to shoot at somebody, it was like, yep, hit, yep, hit. It was tough. This is probably the longest I've gone on a game ever because I'm rolling and not my son. Okay, so the Americans bid the number 2 card, a Rifleman. And the Germans bid their number 3, which is a Rifleman. So the Germans retain initiative. Americans discard. And those Riflemen are important because once you run out of Riflemen, it's game over. So they're used to capture, and without them, that's it. So bust for the Germans. Squad leader, there's nothing left to bolster, and 2 Fog of War. Those finally came and got the Germans. Holy cow. Okay. Well, let's see if the Americans can take advantage of that. They have a 1 Fog of War, but they have their platoon sergeant. So they're going to play the platoon sergeant, draw 2 cards, which is a Fog of War, and a Fog of War. Oh, man. These Fog of Wars are killing us. And they have the squad leader. And luckily, there's actually 2 Riflemen left for the Americans to bolster. So they're going to put those into the discard. And that's it. Wow, I can't believe. I tell you, Fog of War is devastating. Okay, so now we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so German player had initiative, so they're going to bid their number 4, which is a scout. There, you can barely see. And the Americans bid their number 2, which is a scout as well. So it's a tie. So the Germans retain initiative. They discard both. Germans go first. So what are the Germans going to do to try and make this good? Now, right now, I don't have any cards to activate the Rifleman, right? But technically I wouldn't know that, right? And so they stay there until you have nothing else to draw. So the Americans think there's still an enemy out here, which is why they can't do anything else until they get eliminated. So what do we got? I got the platoon sergeant, so he's going to command and draw 2 cards. That was only 1. I have to shuffle real fast because they can command and draw 2. So there's that one. There's the draw deck. Yeah, the German pile, I felt like they were doing better shooting the Americans, but their draw deck is really getting shrunk. So we have a scout. Okay, so at this point, I mean, really, it's fighting. We got to fight. Okay, so Rifleman B needs to go somewhere. Rifleman B is moving here. We're going to move him around. Okay, then Scout A. Scout A is going to shoot the American Rifleman B. Hits on a 5. Miss. Scout A is going to shoot at Rifleman A again. That's a hit. Alright, so do I have a Rifleman B in hand? Rifleman B in hand. I do not have a Rifleman B in hand. Then I check the discard. Do I have a Rifleman B in the discard? I just drew some, so there's a Rifleman B. That is Ramus, I can't read that, Herwig. So he's out. And then the last German Scout B, right here, will shoot at Rifleman B. He also needs a 5.
and hits the 5. So is there another American rifle B? Yep, there's at least one more. There's a couple more. Brett Gilbert. So we are starting the war of attrition here. So the Germans did quite a bit. The Americans now have a rifleman, a scout, oh, the squad leader. Okay, so what we'll do, I got a rifleman down here. So the rifleman will attack the German rifleman. So he's going to go, he needs a 5. He rolls the 8. Okay, so no German cards in hand. So we check the discard for a rifleman A, which is scout, 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 rifleman B, platoon sergeant. Then we check the draw deck. Squad leader, scout, fog of war. Rifleman B, fog of war. Squad leader, rifleman B. So there's no A's on the board. So rifleman A comes off. And I have no way to reinforce that. So that squad is gone. Then the squad leader inspires the rifleman and says, play the rifleman and capture that point. And then the scout B will attack scout A. And they hit on a 6. He rolls a 4, misses. All right, that was actually pivotal because I now have 4 victory points. So right now, the scouts can't capture. And we would need to scout here. We have here. That's why like taking that would have been easy. But now I've only got 1 rifleman left. He could maybe come up here, capture that. That would put me at 4 points, be a tie, and then come over here. So again, this center area is still pretty important. But now we've got to come up and capture this here as the American player while still trying to defend here. All right then, let's see what we can do. We're going to draw 4. I got 1 left in the draw pile. The Germans now draw their 4. They have a couple left in their draw deck. And the Germans are going to bid card 3, which is a fog of war. And then the Americans bid card 3 as well, which is a scout. So the Americans seize the initiative, and they both discard their card. And the Americans have left a fog of war and a scout. So they're going to play a scout. Which scout? They're going to play scout A and discard a fog of war. So that fog of war is gone. Then they play scout B. Scout B is going to attack scout A. So the scouts are fighting it out. Needs a 6 and gets the 6. So we check the German hand for scout A. Does not have it. Then it checks the discard for scout A. Here's a scout A. And that is Karl Hoffman. He's out. That's it for the Americans. German player checks his hand. He's got, oh good, a bunch of riflemen. All right, this is important because now I'm going to play a rifleman. Move up here. Play rifleman B. We're going to take control. Then I play the squad leader to inspire my rifleman B. Play the rifleman B and move him here. Oh, I can't move him there because we never scouted that. So I can't move across. So I'm going to have to come down and make my way over now. It's going to take him a while, but he's going to get over there and capture one of those spots. He has to capture this one because we didn't scout that either. So German player, that would be a good time to scout because there's no more fog of wars to add to the deck. All right, that's the it of the turn. So we draw 1 to hand. We have to shuffle. Okay, we're laying them out. Okay, draw a deck there. The Germans have exactly 4 for their hand. Lucky them. Okay. The Americans had initiative, so we're going to see what is their bid card. a 2. Then the Germans, with their cards, they bid a 3, which is a scout. So they both bid a scout. Americans retain the initiative. All right, so what do the Americans plan to do? See, now that they've captured all of that, they have to come back now and go for that spot. So how are they going to do that? We've got the platoon sergeant. So platoon sergeant is going to command and draw 2 cards. Now, what can we do? Well, the fog of war is not going to do us anything. I'm just going to lay that down now. I don't want to hold that. But I have the rifleman and a scout. The squad leader, I got nothing left to bolster or inspire. So I'm just going to lay him down. But a rifleman and a scout, they're in the middle here fighting it out for honor. But the scout, okay, so the scout is actually going to make his way up here because I can't move anybody in there until it's scouted. So scouts move 2. So they're going to scout 2. 1, 2. And they're going to put down, and there's no more fog of war cards to draw, so I don't draw a fog of war. And then the rifleman, but see, I can't pull the rifleman out, so the rifleman is going to oh, but see, look here, ooh, scouts can't capture, but I can't either because they got scouts there. So the rifleman is going to shoot at the rifleman B and keep him from coming in. So he opens fire. So he's going to fire here. 0 defense. I'm hitting on a 4, 1 for distance. Hitting on a 5. Rolled a 5. So the Germans, do they have a rifleman B in their hand? No, they do not. Do they have a rifleman B in the discard? They do. Have a couple. So this was Otto Zimmerman is now out. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay. Then the Germans, they had a fog of war, so we're not going to do anything with that. They have the squad leader. Squad leader can't influence here, and I have no more cards to pull in, so that leaves Scout B. Scout B is right here. He's going to attack the rifleman. That's all they got left to do. No more fancy conceals or anything. Or he could get rid of the fog of war. Oh, tough. He's going to get rid of the fog of war. Oh, that was a tough choice, actually. I could have attacked. We're going to use the scouts to do what scouts do. So we'll leave the fighting to the riflemen. Oh, I hope that doesn't come back as a bad decision. 1, 2, 3, 4. New draw deck. The Americans still have some cards in their draw deck. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so the Americans had initiative, so they're going to bid card 4, which is a scout. And the Germans bid card 3. Oh, they bid the platoon sergeant, so they steal the initiative. Discard, discard. So what will the Germans do? Well, they got a scout and a fog of war. So that's what he wanted to do, was get rid of that fog of war, apparently. So he said, we should be lean, mean fighting machine now. Every soldier will have his place. Now, the bad thing is, by rolling that way, what I would have done was bid this guy, because I've got no one to inspire, no one to bolster, and then I could have left the platoon sergeant to command and draw from the deck. But that's the way the random dice went. Now, the Americans, on the other hand, have a scout, so they'll burn a fog of war, and then have a squad leader who will inspire. See, this worked out great for the American player, because now Scout B will attack Rifleman B, and he's going to hit on a 5, because it's a defense of 4, 0 for the train. He rolls a 10. That's a hit. So the Americans are going to check. First, we got to check for Rifleman B in the discard. No Rifleman B in the discard. Then we check for Rifleman B in the deck. Ooh, there's only a couple left. That was the draw deck, right? Yeah. So Rifleman B, that was Heinz Berger. So let's shuffle it up. Yeah, let me tell you, I'm telling you, I'm holding the deck here, and the German deck of cards is really shrinking. The Americans feel like they got cards for days. So the Americans draw 4. The German player draws 4 after we just shuffled. Okay, Germans will check for their initiative card. They're bidding number 2, which is that rifleman that they needed. So that's on the bid, though. I don't know. That was an odd decision by the German AI. I know it was just a dice roll. But the Americans bid a fog of war. So they don't get initiative. The Germans retain initiative. That's one way to deal with a fog of war card. So what do the Germans do? They have they have a scout. Okay, so Scout A. Scout A is here. Scout A is going to attack the rifleman now. Since he's done scouting. He's going to hit on a 5. And he hits on a 5. So first we check the hand. Is there a rifleman B in hand? No. Then we check the discard. Is there a rifleman B in the discard? There is a rifleman B in the discard pile. That was Darren Green is now out. Then Scout B. Okay, Scout B is here, so he will attack Rifleman A or Rifleman B as well. So he's going to hit on a 5. He rolls a 9. So now we got to check. Is there a Rifleman B? I had one more Rifleman B here. Oh. Wait a minute. Uh-oh. I have no more Rifleman B. I kid you not. Rifleman B for the Americans is out. Uh-oh. 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 And then squad leader to inspire the scout. That, I think, just won it. Because this scout is actually going to attack down here. He's going to attack the Rifleman A. So Rifleman A has 5 defense here, and then 2 away. So 5, 6, 7. So he's going to hit on a 7. He rolls a 1, so he missed. I think that's it. That's it, team. We now have took that to the conclusion there as far as we could go. I mean, we could do the Americans, but I think it's as soon as you have your 5 objectives. Remember, you control an objective only if you have a control marker. We don't control it yet because I got to move a rifleman there. I've cleared the house, but now I got to get my stupid rifleman over there. So the Americans have a chance to turn it around. And they're going to play a rifleman, and he's going to move 1. He's like, I got to get back to the farmhouse. And the scout says, he can scout too. I'm going to scout back to the farmhouse. Oh, so close. And then a fog of war. Yeah, we're going to do that. Oh, no. And the Germans thought they had it. So we're going to shuffle this up, get the Americans a new draw deck, a new hand of cards. Oh my goodness. That was so close to being a win right there. Let's hope that the Fog of War cards don't make their way in here. We're down to like the last couple cards here of each person. Casualties at this point is going to be just truly traumatic. Okay, the Germans had initiative, so they're going to bid card 3. Again with the platoon sergeant. They're feeling very bold. And a 2. So the Americans lose initiative. The German player really wanted to keep his initiative. Because maybe he's got a Rifleman B. Well, here's the thing. Yep, I still got a Rifleman B. Okay, so we've got Scout, Squad Leader. Okay, so Alpha Scout. Alpha Scout is going to shoot at the American Scout. So that's actually hitting on a 6. Because Scouts are a little tougher
and that was a 2. Okay. Then Bravo Scout will attack their scout. So again on a 6. Nope. Then the squad leader will inspire the scout, and the scout will attack again. This time, a 4. So ineffective firing this time by the German player. They were going to try and take them out. Okay, so the Americans have a Fog of War scout. They're going to do it. The scout, Bravo Scout, is up here. He's going to burn off that Fog of War, and that should be the last Fog of War. Rifleman A, he's done his part, so now he's going to move back in to defend this center section. We got to take that center, or kill off that rifleman, because the rifleman is just going to try to move through now, if he can. I might not have enough German rifleman cards left to do that. Alright, so Germans had initiative, so they bid number 2, which is their scout. The Americans bid a number 1, which is a scout. So Germans retain initiative, so good use of scouts that time to survey the battlefield and take advantage. So the Germans have a rifleman. So the squad leader, which doesn't match anybody out here, the Bravo Scout will attack Rifleman A and will hit on a 5. That did not get in the tower at all. What is that? A 7? Okay, so he hit a Rifleman A. Is there a Rifleman A in my hand? Nope. There's a Rifleman A in the discard. Yes, there is. So that is James Allen. He is out. And then Rifleman B. Rifleman B is going to pop in here on his way to capture some stuff. So again, it all funnels through here. Alright, but that leaves the Americans with a squad leader who has no one to bolster or inspire. But we do have the platoon sergeant, so he's going to command 2 cards into my hand, which are Fogs of War! Oh! So we play the scout, and we got to get rid of the Fogs of War, because that's hurting us horribly. Alright, so, oops, I draw 2 to the hand, and we're going to shuffle up. I mean, I'm telling you, we are just about out of cards for both folks. We are hurting. They've really both have taken a beating. And the German hand. Alright, draw decks. New draw decks, new hands. The American player is going to bid. I can't believe I missed that dice tower. He bids his number 2. And the German player. Oh, I should have rolled for the German player first. But they both rolled 2, so we're okay. Again with the platoon sergeant. So the Germans retain initiative, but at the cost of the platoon sergeant. They know something that I don't. Because they know that, okay, this works out pretty good. Scout B for the Germans. Scout B for the Germans will attack Rifleman A of the Americans, hitting on a 5. Rolls a 10. Alright, so we're going to check the hand. Is there a Rifleman A in the American hand? No. No Rifleman A in the discard. Is there a Rifleman A in their draw deck? No. Right. Okay, I got to shuffle that. I only got a handful, so we're just going to shuffle it. There is no more Rifleman A for the Americans. They're out. And that would be the game. I just want to make sure there was no Rifleman here in the hand. And then my discard had a scout. And then there's no Rifleman here. Wow, that was down to the wire. Like I said, there was attrition, heavy attrition on both sides. In fact, the Germans only had 1 rifleman left himself, and they pulled it out at the end. That was a Battle of Attrition there. They fought that out. I was actually very happy with that. When I've played this before, generally the fighting all kind of comes down to this point. And this time, I wanted to explore moving around and try to capture stuff. And yeah, that works to some degree. It was great. So they both ended up with 4 victory points. And I was gonna, maybe come and capture that. So the Germans had that, but the Americans, maybe if they bypassed this location, they could have went there. When you play with both players discard the initiative card, that does limit your options for both players a bunch, and so I think that's important to keep in mind. I like that. I think I like playing with that method better than what I was doing. And that kind of does move the turns through a little bit quicker each way. So this worked out really good. I'm anxious to play this again, and hopefully you enjoyed that. That did take a while, but I think that took a while because instead of just fighting right here, I wanted to move stuff around. And with the limited cards, you can see how the Fog of War sometimes can really hamper a turn. So your turn is like, you get one action maybe. If you drew a card, there's a few times I drew the command and drew cards off my deck, and they were both Fog of War cards. And so that Fog of War really, really pays a heavy penalty for you when you draw it. So using your scouts to burn Fog of War and put Fog of War into your opponent's deck, I think is always a good strategy. And then when we ran out of Fog of War, the scouts were just there to attack. But they can't capture territory. So they have their place, and at least they can always do something. And I'll leave this with one final thought. This was the thing that my son enjoyed about this over some other games. The only card that really kind of becomes useless at some point would be like the squad leader. When there's nothing left to bolster and you have no cards to inspire, their purpose then is good for using as an initiative bid. But I couldn't really show that here because I was just randomly rolling a die 4 to see of the 4 cards which they were going to use for initiative. And I think maybe there was a couple times where that didn't pan out because I had the squad leader left in my hand. The German kept playing the platoon sergeant for some reason. That's the way the dice went. And then I'd be left with a squad leader that couldn't do anything. That's like the only card right now that's kind of tough to deal with when it runs out of supplies to bolster from or cards that he can inspire. But otherwise, still a phenomenal game. Very fun. Not a simulationist, but a little bit of bluffing and whatnot when you do face-to-face. But it's still quite playable solo, even if you get kind of the weird, odd result by the random initiative pull. Otherwise, I think it's fine. I think it's a good game. So thank you for tuning in. Once I edit this together, that's going to be a very long play. So if you watch this all the way through, thank you so much for that. And we'll see you around whenever we do another game or something. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.